Hello! Today we're going to cover the topic of how to protect individual sheets and the data on them in spreadsheets. Let's start by saying that by default we can define 3 roles to access our table. These are viewer, when a person can only view but not edit. Commenter, when he can't edit but leaves comments, and respectively editor, when you give the person full access to edit any data. But often in practice, when we make some systems based on Google Sheets, there are tables where you need to enter data. Accordingly, editors enter, by example, the way the transaction sheet is written here, which means, accordingly, you leave this to all the people that you've shared this table with to edit. And there are tables or sheets that cannot be edited, for example, with some data settings or some data buffers generated with formulas. And accordingly, editing some row may break all the formulas. And for this case, when you want your table to have sheets in which you can leave data and in which you cannot enter data, there is a function like data protection in Google Sheets. In order to do this, you need to go to the Protect Sheet section. Next, after that, what are the options that we have here? You have to select the sheet that you respectively want to protect. In our case, this is Settings. You also have the option to exclude some cells from this protection. For example, if you want to protect not the whole sheet, but a large part of it and exclude, for example, a column where you can edit the data, in this case, you add the range that you want to exclude from the protection. And after that, you can make changes in these columns. Most often, we do not use this in practice because, after all, the protection of the sheet is primarily intended to prevent anyone from entering their own data. After that, we go to the Set Permission section. What do we have here? We have 2 options for how we want this protection to be implemented. We can show warnings when editing the protected range, or we can prevent editing this range. Let's take a look at how the Show Warning when editing this range looks like. If we click it, we can see that when we switch to another account, we will be shown this warning when entering any data. To remove it, if you are sure, you can click on the checkbox about not showing the warning for 5 minutes. And when you re-enter some values, accordingly, you will no longer be given a warning and the data you entered will be saved in the table. You can actually use this method if you don't need any strong edit protection. But I would recommend that if you want to protect your data in such a way that no one can influence it in any way, you should still choose full edit protection so that people can't enter their data at all. In this case, we can choose either the default, where only you, as the administrator of this table, and the table creators can edit, or we can choose to customize who can edit the range data and who cannot. In this case, if you lock the data from editing and select only yourself, when other people who are added to this table try to make changes somehow, you won't have anything entered, which will make it very easy and won't break anything for you, and you can be the only administrator who will have access to this sheet. One more trick that I recommend using if you want to not only restrict access to data entry, but also generally remove this sheet from people's view. To do this, I recommend that after you have set permission when only you can edit, you also hide this sheet. Once you hide this sheet, a person who has access to the table even for editing, after going to Hidden, can see these sheets, but they won't be able to open them because it will give them a notification that you are trying to edit an object that is now protected. This comes in handy for when you need to not only limit input, but you need to completely remove a given sheet from the scope and close it so that people can't even view the data on that sheet, but can still edit other pages in that table. Here you can see all your settings for all your sheets and edit them if you need to. That's all for today. Give it a like if you enjoyed the video. If you still have any questions, ask them in the comments.